So if you guys know anything about me, you know that I like Fire Emblem a lot, and also I have been watching MatPat for like a long time. And if you don't know who that is, that's Game Theory. What you may also not know is that he retired this year. I'm gonna put soft quotes around that because like he's still out and about doing stuff. And I have always been waiting for my two worlds to collide, and they never did, sadly. But I did see that he did a story time segment at PAX East this year, 2024. And so I wanted to check it out. I was curious, and the whole thing, for what it's worth, it was like an hour-long segment. It was all good. Like it was good stuff. If you were ever a fan of any of the game theory channels or just interested in like YouTube as content path, like stuff like that, you would find it interesting, I think. But there, at the end, there was a Q&A segment that popped up, and man, I am so glad out of like hundreds of questions that they got fielded for this, that this made it to the cut. And the one I'm talking about is this one. If you're unaware, Matt got asked about Fire Emblem.
Our next question comes from Rowena Sullivan. Despite doing one for all the other main Nintendo franchises, why did you never do a theory on Fire Emblem?
What about Fire Emblem? Interesting. Curious. Look at his face. Look at his face. This is a man who has been caught. Okay? I mean, he is visibly uncomfortable. Like, he is visibly uncomfortable. Which is funny, frankly. Why did he never do a game theory on Fire Emblem? I wonder.
How could I phrase this in a positive way? No. Because I respect you guys and I fear you guys. I mean, like to be honest, right?
He fears us. he is actively afraid of us, and with good reason too. I mean, sometimes, right, when I do something that is any sort of just like passion project related, and I don't maybe fully understand the context of the franchise that I talk about or what have you, even with Fire Emblem to an extent, people are always very quick to point out when you're wrong about something. And Fire Emblem is a franchise that has been around for like 30 years plus now at this point. So with the revival that it had like in the late 20 teens, right? Between Awakening and then Fates and Three Houses was a big burst in 2019. You can imagine that people are very passionate about that. And boy are they. It is crazy. Some of the things people will say just completely out of pocket.
No, that is. It's because I respect and fear you guys. Like, I knew that Fire Emblem is a huge franchise with a lot of deep and rich lore
It is.
To it.
Huge.
And I knew that it was not a franchise that I grew up playing. It
Correct.
was not one I was familiar with. And for me to catch up with it and to make myself an expert into all the things that I would need to have become an expert in to make a theory about that franchise, especially from a lore perspective. Maybe I could have done a science episode, but especially from a lore perspective, like I did not feel like I would be able to do it justice. And I
Dangerous.
knew that if I did it wrong, I would not live to see the day where I would not hear the end of it, right?
And he wouldn't have, frankly. He wouldn't have. If I know anything about the Fire Emblem fan base, and I know a few things, he definitely would have been roasted, like, beyond recognition, sadly. But he goes on to explain and talk about his experience with a Persona video that he did, just kind of wanting to be passionate about the Persona franchise. And let's be honest, probably chasing a little bit of that algorithm bump, right? But not really having the capacity or background in Persona. And so he explains that one of his research staffers was a big fan of the Persona franchise. And assured Matt that he understood everything and would not lead astray in terms of accuracy and depiction. We'll jump ahead to the front here. That did not happen. That didn't happen. The Persona theory that Matt ended up doing was not super well received by the majority of the Persona fan base. And of course, Matt goes on to explain that he became a lightning rod for all of that hate and negativity, whereas the staffer researcher, obviously, who is just a name behind a credit, if nothing else, didn't really have to worry about any of that. And so he felt that Fire Emblem was kind of a similar situation when it comes to understanding the franchise and not being adequately prepared to talk about said franchise. However, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, because as it turns out, Matt ended up kind of spilling a little bit of insider info for us.
We've had pitches, and actually, I have two full scripts actually of Fire Emblem that maybe Tom will be brave enough to do, because he does know the franchise better than I do. So he might be brave enough to tackle it, but for me, I'm just like I can't put myself.
But you considered it.
What?
But you considered it.
100%. And we fielded a bunch of submissions from the writers. We greenlit a couple pitches. I've read them. Like I polished one where
They got to a late stage Fire Emblem theory, but they never released it. That's crazy.
I went through and did MatPat, re-researched, re-edited things. I felt really good about it, but I couldn't validate all the research, and I'm like, I just don't know if we can do it. So those exist. Those are actually very cool, awesome episodes that I think are good. I just, I don't know if they would be good for the Fire Emblem audience. So
I want to know what those are. I want to know what they are so bad. I think that Matt should release them. Well, Matt doesn't really have any control over that anymore, probably. But man, I don't even need the theory, honestly. I mostly just want to know what the proposed concept was, like what the topic is on those. Because currently it sounds like there are a handful of Fire Emblem theories that got late into the approval process, and they are just sitting in backlog somewhere, awaiting someone's bravery to put them out on the Game Theory channel. Man, that would have been so cool, because Matt literally has covered every other franchise I was a big fan of as a kid, and as an adult, frankly. And to have that mashup would have been so epic. But we may never know. We may never know. We will have to wait and see, I guess. It could happen. I guess it could happen. I guess now I'm going to have to spam on every Game Theory video moving forward, release the Fire Emblem theories. And maybe that will work. Probably not. Anyway, just a little bit of news that I saw today that made me kind of happy, and I guess maybe also a little bit hopeful. So let me know in comments what you think the theory is, multiple theories, what they may have been about. I, for one, think it probably has something to do with Naga's lineage, and then the brand, like the birthmark, the succession of Yeah, something along those lines. And then probably something about weapon triangles. I feel like that would have made for a really good science-based theory in terms of why a sword would be an axe, or an axe would be the lance, and a lance would be a sword. Like something along those lines. I feel like that would have been really cool to have also seen. But that's just me. Maybe someday I'll make them. Maybe I'll make them someday. Anyway, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.